This Sunday, visit West Ashfield to watch the West Tigers take on the Sea Eagles while you enjoy classic tap beers from just $6. If you can't make it to Campbelltown Sports Stadium, West Ashfield is the place to be. Looking for a space to host your next function? Check out their variety of spaces available for a wide range of functions with options of canapes, sit-down dinners and much more. For more information, visit holmanbarnesgroup.com.au. Holman Barnes Group, bringing people together. And welcome into a very special edition of the WestsLife Podcast. We are sponsored by Holman Barnes Group, which includes West Ashfield Leagues Club, the best place to watch the game, live and loud. The footy's back this Sunday. We did miss the footy over the weekend, as torturous as this season has been. Kind of missed, didn't really know what to do with myself over the weekend. So the footy's back on Sunday. Head to West Ashfield if you're not heading to Campbelltown. And also give us a follow at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to support and take part in the show, the Patreon guys, they got a few questions for our special guest later in the show as well. Patreon.com/WestsLife. And shout out to all the people tuning in on YouTube. Sorry, it's a Tuesday evening this week. There was no game on the weekend, just scheduling and that sort of thing. We're on a Tuesday night, so apologies for those who thought we were going on Monday night, but we're here live on a Tuesday. And give us a sub and a like while you're there. I'll go to our special guest first. Everyone will advertise this. I'm so, as a long-time Tigers fan, and to talk to someone who played 143 games as a Tiger, both a Balmain Tiger and a West Tiger. Shane Walker, so happy to have you back on the show. I had you on, I think it was 2020 the last time I had you on. So it's been a minute, but thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Pleasure, boys. Thanks for having me.
I'll go to Az first. Az, you're probably slightly too young to remember, not to make Shane feel too old, but you're probably a little bit too young to remember Shane's playing days. So you might learn a little bit of footy back in the day tonight.
Yeah, g'day Josh, g'day Rob, g'day Shane. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I don't have too many memories pre-2005 or 2010, so looking forward to learning a little bit about the older days of the rugby league world today.
And of course, Mr. Bashara, you remember Shane's career probably better than any of us, even myself as well. You followed the Tigers closer than anyone in the late 90s and 2000s. I was merely a child, so my memories are far in between, but I'm sure you remember Shane running hard up every set back in the day.
I certainly do. Well, firstly, good evening to everyone, and look, what a pleasure this is tonight. I mean, it's been a pretty miserable season, but I'm quite excited to reminisce with you guys about Shane and his career and his thoughts, on what his career was like back then and what he thinks of the modern game today. But look, for me, he was a cult hero. Every time he took the ball up, he took it up with 100% gusto. I loved him. I used to call him Tex. I know he's got other nicknames, Butch and what have you, but yeah, just an absolute legend, a real passionate Tiger, was always a Tiger supporter. And yeah, I think we've mentioned the 89 grand final to each other a few times on Twitter, but yeah, excited to hear a few stories tonight, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. What's to it, boys? Thank you for having me on.
We'll go through. We usually start with a bit of news first. It's a bit of this is how low I sleep for news. I've gone to the Daily Mail. I saw this pop up in the feed. This lunatic burning his West Tigers jersey. I'm wearing my jersey from year 2000. I don't know if you saw the photo on Twitter, Shane. Did you see your signature? Are you on here somewhere?
It is 2000 because Wayne's on there, but it's not on there.
Yeah, I don't know where my nan or how my nan got this. It's literally a birthday present, my 12th birthday. I don't know how she got the signatures on it, but I have to get you to
pretty cool.
Sign it one day, Shane. I have to add you to complete it one day. But talking about jerseys, and yeah, I could never ever. I have 30. I think I'm up to 34 West Tigers jerseys now, and I could never ever picture myself setting a light to this. I don't know if you saw this, Rob, but I mean, it's just absolutely. I mean, it's obviously footage or show what it looked like, or the jersey. But the jersey was, I believe, the same as what I'm wearing now, but the black version.
The
But
first one.
yeah. I mean, Shane, I'll go to you first because you literally bled in that jersey. Like, did you see this pop up
No,
on social media?
It's disappointing that we've got fans that they're at this stage. It's not good, but each their own. He's obviously frustrated, but I just don't understand that anyway. It's a bit silly.
Rob, just before, we won't spend too much time on this PH, but yeah, I couldn't. We've been pretty sad and fed up and angry at the club, but could never. I'll forever love the West Tigers and the jerseys that they wear, despite.
Yeah, it's just a publicity stunt, Josh. I mean, we're all frustrated, and look, I'll be honest. In terms of the team, I'll always love the team. I'll always support the players. I hate the club. I'm being honest. I hate the club, but I hate the club because I hate the leaders, and I love the club, and I want to love the club. But like all relationships, you can love something and you can hate something, and until it's just run a bit better, how can I love something that's being destroyed? And I've just got to desensitize from it. So, but this guy doing his little TikTok trick with the fire on the jersey and that's just a stunt, guys. I wouldn't read too much into it. I mean, why would you burn they're the best colours in the world, man. Seriously, we've got the best looking jerseys, no matter which way we design them. So we're all frustrated, but you don't do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
GD Tiger said Shane still looks like a unit. Have a go at those shoulders. So the first thing, as soon as he logged on, I was like admiring your traps as well, Shane. You're still hitting the gym, working out these days.
No, I don't. To be honest,
okay, it's just genetics.
Yeah, I just do through work as well, but just I just do my own body weight and stuff now. I don't touch weights anymore.
Okay,
I just did too many of them as I was going through footy, mate. I've had enough of them.
Fair enough. Well, looks like you've built enough muscle for all four of us. You're still looking fit as so. Elsewhere, mate, how are you these days? We kind of chatted a bit off air, but just for our listeners, what's Shane Walker up to these days?
So work-wise, I'm working for a building company called HBK Building. They're a local. We're in the Shire here, but obviously we're all over the state. Great bunch of blokes, Michael and Hamish, the two owners, great men. They look after me. We've got a great team as well, which is always enjoyable going to work every day. Family-wise, my son's working for Yellow Brick Road with Mark Burris in the city.
Oh, nice.
And he's got a little business on the side. I don't know if you saw the Victor Radley T-shirts through the finals. Victor the comic T-shirts. So he's come up with that. They've closed it down for a little bit. Things have changed. You've got Luke Lewis has bought into it as well now. So that'll take off. Daughter and two grandkids are living at home with me here with us, with my wife.
So Poppy, what's your nickname? Poppy Walker? Poppy?
Pa. It's the easiest word. First word they could say, Pa.
Nice.
That
was my Pa was my grandfather who passed away literally Anzac Day a year and a half ago, who grew up in Balmain, big Tigers fan. So so Pa. Shout out to all the Pas out there. So I miss my Pa. And talking about podcast. I mean, he was a podcast basically. He'd call me on a Sunday night, basically since I was a teenager, and he'd tell me why the Tigers won or why they lost, and being a grandfather's pretty special thing. So that's pretty cool. Might start with, I found this photo. I thought I'd use it while we're chatting to you tonight. This is when you scored a try in New Zealand, and I thought it was pretty funny and pretty ironic that it's Ivan Cleary that you've knocked over on the ground. Do you have any memories of this game? I do have the stats for that game, but what are your memories of that one, Shane?
Yeah, I think we won, and I think I ran off John Simon to score that try.
So
So I remember most of them. I remember them. So I'm pretty sure it was off Johnny Simon.
So this game was 16th of June 2001. You came off the bench and we beat the Warriors 21-16. Try scoring for the Tigers. Obviously, you were one of them. Tyron Smith was another one. Another, long-time West Tigers fans will remember Tyron Smith. Big, and him and Jason Lowry, the two big bald heads in the forwards.
Great
plenty
bloke.
of childhood memories. Makasini Richter was the other try scorer, and Joel Sugarcane 4 of 5 with the boot. So a good win over in New Zealand.
I remember that. Who did you say was the other try scorer?
That was Makasini Richter. So that's he played.
That wasn't his real name.
Oh,
when he was a winger. Can't think of his name, but he changed it to that. So,
okay. He played 24 games for the West Tigers in 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Good
player.
I don't know that by heart. I'm looking at the stats right now. I'm not as is the stats man, not me. I'm just reading what's in front of me. The modern game, Shane, it's changed a lot, obviously, since 22 years ago.
Yeah.
How do you feel the game's changed since then?
I was having a think about it today. The biggest thing for me, the change is like the head knocks. I think them getting rid of like the high shots. I remember I think it might have been 95, 96. There was like a spate of head slams. You're able to, like, if Blake's legs were like tied up by a player, the guy come over the top and head slammed, which was like an instant knockout. You could hit if you come off the ball around the chest and it bounced up into the head. That was okay. First contact wasn't the head. So little things like that, I think it's unreal, because there's a few blokes walking around at the moment from like in particular the 70s, 80s, and a little bit in the 90s that are struggling a little bit because of head knocks, and so it's always good. So these kids are protected now coming through it with footy. I don't like the ref coming in just as I was finishing up. It was always in some form. Like we had to win a tackle, always to slow them down, get them on their back, slow them down. But then the leg chop that come in with two blokes holding you and someone diving in at your legs, that I thought was terrible. So that's good they've got rid of that. But now this hip drop thing come in, that's even worse. So hopefully they can get rid of this very soon. And but apart from that, the game's unreal. It's fast. They're so skillful now. They're big and skillful. And I love watching it. I reckon it's kicked on since. Sure.
Yeah, so that's an answer. Sometimes a few ex-players in any sport really will say, "Oh, back in my day, we were tougher," and that sort of thing. So it's actually quite refreshing hearing someone, who did play back in the day when things were a bit, maybe what's the word? I wouldn't say rougher. Yeah, less careful. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word, but it's very refreshing to hear that you actually do think it's a very good thing that the players have been protected.
Yeah,
and rightfully so.
And what about the sorry guys, what about the interchanges, Shane? I don't know how many you got back when you were a player, but do you think they've reduced it too far or to the right amount? Or
I think it's good where it is now. Like I recall maybe a couple of years ago they were talking about reducing it again, to bring that fatigue factor back into the game. I think it's good where it is now. I went through where there was no interchange. So if you got replaced, you're off. So in the early 90s, mid 90s, into the mid 90s, where they had 2 fresh and a couple from reserve grade, but they could only make 4, I think it was. But once you're off, you're off. And then it went to unlimited interchange, like through the back of the 90s, which was, I think that was dangerous, because there was just big blokes running at little blokes all day that were fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's good where it is now. You know, there's still there's fatigue blokes, there's big blokes playing big minutes now. So it's
cool question from Colonial. He said, I had one question for Shane. I was in the stands for Balmain's last game at the Den, obviously Leichhardt Oval, and the atmosphere was nuts. How was it on the field? So I was at that game in '99. I was 11 years old. It's one of my big childhood memories being a Tigers fan. My uncle took me. I lived up the Central Coast. We drive down. It was pouring rain. And I think I've told this story in the show before, but I'll tell it again. And we pulled over, and my uncle bought a packet of garbage bags, punched a couple of holes in the garbage bags, and we walked into Leichhardt Oval in pouring rain. And I still remember leaving the ground, the fireworks going off, and that sort of thing. So as a 12-year-old kid, that's one of my most treasured memories. What was it like for you as a player, Shane?
Oh, that's one of my most favourite days of rugby league. That was like before the game, the build up that we had in the sheds with Wayne. Wayne had was ready to run through the brick wall that day, and from the kickoff, I knew that we're in with a massive show. I wasn't 100% sure we're going to win at the time. Para, they were a very good side. That we'd come down the tunnels. When you come down Leichhardt, you come down the stairs. That was up to your knees in water.
Wow.
It was surreal, actually. And then to win that game, last game ever at Leichhardt, you couldn't have wished. We went out on a good note there, but unfortunately, the week later was the game of the comp, and we went down to Canberra, and they had the old jerseys on, the '89 jerseys. We wore them against Canberra.
Yep.
And we got pumped. I think that we were up for that game the week before, and it was just like a massive letdown. But which was disappointing being the last game ever. But that night,
42-14. Yeah,
that was a special night. That was I still remember Laurie Nichols, God rest his soul, in there. He was crying, and it was a special night. I'll never ever forget that.
So 20-10, Balmain won that one. Joel Kane scored one try, Mark Luland the other, and Craig Field, a halfback then. Yeah, so just looking at, you mentioned the Parramatta side, some big names there: David Kidwell, Daniel Wagon, Jim Dimmick, Nathan Kalis, Mick Vella, young Nathan Hindmarsh, Jared McCracken, who obviously became a teammate to you as well. Big Mark Tukey, Luke Burke coming off the bench. Yeah, they were pretty.
They had a good side.
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000 Para were a big side. All right, that's a great question from Colonial there. Great memory for myself. Did you go to that one, Rob?
I don't remember, to be honest, Josh. I don't know why. It's probably because it's nearly 25 years ago, but I can't remember. I really don't. I'm sure I would.
As you were 6 years old.
Yeah, a bit young.
Yeah.
A little bit.
In terms of the merger chain, I mean, we're talking a lot of Balmain things, and apologies to some who, plenty of our followers, were Magpies background. Obviously, you came through the merger from the Balmain side. What was it like in the early days of the merger? What was it feeling like, basically two teams becoming one?
It's so good. Like, to be honest with you, we had some really good battles against Wests, like 97, 98, 99. We were probably both struggling, but whenever we played each other, that was a real battle. When we come together, we're instantly great mates. We're still mates now with like Scando, Cherry Mesher, the McGuinness boys. We're still all good mates. We clicked straight away. There was never an issue. We had a couple of bonding nights which Junior put on for us, and we all got on really well. And then we had the new blokes that come across, like Terry Hill, McCracken, within 2 to 3 weeks of training, we're all pretty good mates. Got on well. There was no issue. There was no Main and Wests amongst us. We were just like as one.
Yeah.
Wayne Pearce, he created that with his coaching staff, and the boys all bought into it. And well, like I said, we're all still good mates.
Yeah, that's awesome, because obviously, I mean, coaching wise too, Tommy Rodonicus was coaching the Magpies, so to go with Junior over Tommy, it's good to hear that. Kind of an understanding amongst the guys, and of course, the team was pretty good. You came out and had a tie with the Broncos, who won the comp that year. So
I think we were. I think we may have been second halfway into the season or something like that.
I think we were.
And the biggest loss for us, like we got injuries through the back of the season, but the biggest loss was Jared McCracken when he tackled down in Melbourne. From that moment, he sort of is a very good leader, that bloke. Very good. And once we lost Jared, we sort of started to, you could see the decline was starting. Now looking back at it, it was starting to happen. The big ones were like after that snow game against Canberra, we should have won. And I think, I can't recall if Penrith was before that or after it. And we definitely should have won that game. We're up 28-2 or something like that.
Yeah, I was at that one.
31-8. Shane, 31-8, and
Junior was dancing in the.
I remember Hopper tried to do the celebration across the post, and someone come through and knocked him over. Adamson or something, maybe Matt Adamson.
And that sort of sparked him, eh?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It did, and I was devastated that day. I was counting the chickens at 31-8.
Far out. Yeah, like we win those two games, then we would have finished in the top 8 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drive from Penrith back to the Central Coast, it was a pretty long drive back then too. It was a very quiet ride home that day. I remember that one pretty well.
Door off the handles, off the hinges in the sheds that day.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, but what could have been, boys?
Thoughts on the West Tigers in the moment? Obviously, not going. I mean, it'd be nice to say that we're second halfway through the year. We could only dream of that at the moment. What are some of your thoughts on the team at the moment and why they might be struggling? Because on paper, we thought we'd actually be going all right this year.
Yeah, so did I. But there's obviously what I can gather. There's obviously a big change there from the way they're coached. Obviously, coaches coming in. I know your thoughts, Rob. Him obviously with his career has been unbelievable. Robbie's very smart and Benji's cluey as well. So there's something going there. I'm hoping that that's the change. That's why we're struggling. I hope they stick with this young boy at fullback. We've got a great forward pack. And like I said, we've got some good, like the up and coming, the Harold Matthews, SG Ball and all that. We've got some stars coming through there. If we can keep them, that is. So, I've got a tip for you this week, boys. We're going to win this week. So there's a stat that, I don't know if you've seen the stat floating around, that every team that comes off the wins.
Well, they were all playing Parramatta.
I think one might have lost. I'm not sure. Have they all won? I think one of them didn't win.
I think one lost.
Yeah, I think one lost too.
Penrith, yeah.
Yeah, but that, like everyone, like we're in with a shot. I've got a feeling we're going to win this week, boys. And Manly will be busted up a bit, I think, from last week.
Well, not to get ahead, so I know Az and I tipped Manly this week. So I got 8 out of 8 last week. So maybe great minds do think alike, Shane. So a couple of questions coming through. Rachel, what was it like playing in the snow? That was in Canberra, obviously.
Yeah.
Against the Raiders. Was that 2000 or 2001? Can't remember.
It was 2000. That was the game that sent our season off. It derailed us, that game. We should have won that. We had it. But what was it like playing in the snow? A bit daunting first running out. And I took the first hit up, the kickoff off the game. Once I got into the game, it was all right. When the snow melted, it was like the mud stuck to your back. It was freezing. It was good. It was good. Good experience. Great experience.
Yeah, I guess in England they'd be a bit more. Obviously, they're playing summer now, but back in the day, that was probably a normal thing for the.
For them English. Back in winter, yeah, it would have been for sure. But it was good fun.
Any players at the moment? You mentioned a couple at the moment. Obviously, the West Tigers forward pack is pretty good at the moment, but we can't really fault them at the moment. Obviously, being a forward legend of the club, what's your thoughts on some of the forwards in the West Tigers at the moment?
I really like watching young Stefano up front. Massive fan of Bateman. And Appy. I still think he should be picked at number 9 for New South Wales. It's just that, at the moment, the side's struggling. I'm sure if he was picked at 9 for New South Wales, he'd be outstanding, one of their better players. But, I like young Stefano. I always keep an eye on him.
What other questions we've got coming through? Domchet asks, he goes, when you were playing, did you ever have a CEO come in the sheds at halftime? Who would have been CEO? Who was CEO back in 2001? I actually don't even know. Wasn't Noyce? It was pre-Noyce, wasn't it?
It was Martin Bullock.
Okay.
Martin Bullock for the West Tigers. And when I was at Balmain, we had Danny Monk. And no one ever come in. The only time a CEO said something to us, we played Adelaide Rams in 98.
I remember this one.
New stadium, and they hadn't won a game all year. We went down there to pumped, and he come in and give us a serve after the game. That was the only time.
Wow.
Was that the one, Shane, when Rod Jensen scored 4 tries?
I think it was, mate. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a Thursday night because I remember watching, because obviously I didn't have, I think it was Optus Vision back then or Foxtel.
Yep.
Then the footy show, I was watching the footy show and the score came on while I was watching the footy show.
Or something? It was like 56-0. Rod Reddy was coach, I think, from memory.
Yeah, it was something like that. I think it hit 50.
Yeah, hit 50 for sure.
It was 52-0.
50, yeah. It's terrible night.
I've said it before, but I got a lot of satisfaction, Shane, when Pat Richards fends off Rod Jensen in the 2000 grand final. I just after those 4 tries.
I bet you did, mate.
Yeah.
What else? So I might go on to our Patreon question. So patreon.com. I better do the our mobile cop. That handsome fella you might be able to see on your screen there, Shane. You might recognise him in the MLC Phones jersey. Say that again, sorry.
That's like 30 years ago.
Yeah, so I think it was 90, might be 94? 95. So MLC Phones, they're known as Mobile Corp now. They're actually a sponsor of our shows. Pretty awesome. I'll give you a shout out every time I do this ad, and it's cool to have you here as I do this read. So they can assist with anything IT related. In the early days, they're under the different business name. They were the MLC Phones and the sponsor of Balmain in 94 and 95, I believe. And there's a saying in IT, there are 2 types of companies, those who have been hacked and those who will be hacked. So what can business owners do to protect themselves from cyber attack? Mobile Corp is a family-run tech company that supports West Tigers and was even a jersey sponsor back in 2007. Mobile Corp is passionate about helping protect businesses from cyber threats. For an affordable cyber security solution, go to mobilecorp.com.au. Don't ask us anything about that technical-wise, Shane, because we haven't got a clue. Go to Mobile Corp, anything in terms of that IT stuff. A few scores from over the weekend. I'll get to Jersey Flegg. The boys lost 34-20 at Lickham. I actually took my young bloke over to Lickham Oval for this one. So obviously free entry for members. My 2.5-year-old was more interested in the sausage sandwich. That kind of preoccupied him, but it was pretty cool to go to a local footy game and give him a bit of a taste of the footy. Dad and son time, but it was actually, from what I could watch when I wasn't chasing a toddler, it was pretty close for most of the game, this one. So the guys 34-20, but it was what were those tries, 61 and 69th minute. So unlucky to the Jersey Flegg guys. They're running that's the wrong table. I think they're in 9th at the moment. The SG Ball, so our only juniors team left in terms of obviously below Jersey Flegg, so their seasons are finished. The Magpies, they lost in the SG Ball in the 5th versus 4th finals, 18-10. So that means all our junior sides are done for the year, and so our Harvey Norman Women's Premiership. They lost 28-8 in their last game. That was at Lickham Oval as well. When does NRLW start as? May?
I don't think we have an exact date, but I think it's going to be late June, early July.
Okay, and the Harvey
Pre-season
Norman
starts in May.
the Harvey Norman girls, they finished 9th of all places. So, yeah, they did us proud with their, obviously won the comp last year, but West Tigers are 9th. Yeah, that old.
At
That
least
old
they
joke.
weren't 7th in the top 6 finals.
I was top 6. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
top 6.
Did you see? What's your thoughts on the NRLW side incoming? Shane, are you excited for the Tigers to be involved with that?
Yeah, it's good to see our club with the team now. I don't watch a heap of footy anymore. I obviously watch the Tigers play. I might watch another game during the on the weekends. Don't really watch too much of the female. Like I said, don't watch a lot of footy anymore. Just mainly the Tigers and another Friday night game. But it's good to see the club involved with the women's game as well. Support. It's good to see.
So I'll get to our Patreon subscriber questions. What have the boys got for us in here for Shane? Tuiaki Chicken Wings, aka Ben, he's asked, who was the hardest player to tackle?
Gordon Tallis is pretty hard. Gordon Tallis. Wow. Sorry, boys, but just on the spot. Hardest player to tackle. I'll tell you who was bloody hard. Michael Hancock, the winger for Broncos.
Yeah.
You're going to cop a knee or an elbow somewhere.
He had that angry look in his face too. I remember
He was
like
angry.
his hair flapping in the wind. Yeah.
He was always buck jumping in the tackles too, wasn't he, Shane? When he was tackled on the ground, he'd start buck jumping.
Straight away, you're going to cop something. But
Yeah.
It was very, very hard to bring down.
Ben also asked your favourite teammates. You've already named a whole heap of them already. So, yeah, obviously don't want to pick favourites there. Mitchie 101, what is your honest opinion of the club at the moment? Was it a good idea to bring Sheens back and have Benji as his understudy? What would you be doing if you were in charge of the club?
I think we needed a senior coach. And Tim knows the place better than anyone else. And have the two boys below him, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. We're obviously in a bad spot at the moment, but let's give them some time. They've obviously got a plan in place, and hopefully we can start a win this week, but have a couple of wins at the back end of next year, and then at the back end of this year. But let's give them a go, see what happens, and then we can go from there.
Shane, I think we're just getting a little bit of a clicking noise or something.
Yeah.
Your mic? Just your microphone.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it was just like a bit of like a tapping noise or something coming through.
Is that better?
I think you're sweet now. Yeah.
Yeah, all good.
Yep. Just they brought Tim back. We needed a senior coach. Brought him back in. We got Benji and Rob, and we forgot as well. David Furner's a very good coach, and so we've got a good batch there. Let's give them a go and see what happens. And turn this thing around.
It is tough, yeah. I guess so. West Tigers was got to be patient. The club keeps telling us to be patient. It is very hard though with 11 years of no finals. But
totally understand. I can understand everyone's frustration, 100%. Like, I don't know what to say. I totally understand everyone's frustration, and yeah, I don't know what else to say, boys, to be honest with you.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
I appreciate your loyalty to the club, and everyone out there, all your loyalty. Stay strong, because I'm sure we're going to turn this around.
Baxter, he's asked thoughts on upper management. Have you dealt with any of them? If so, what was your experience? Look, you don't have to say it.
No, I wouldn't answer that.
Yeah, that's fine.
With the current management?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know Danny Stapleton really well. So Danny played a couple of years at Balmain with us, and he comes from a good family. He's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. So the others on the board, I've met one other, so I can't comment on anyone else. So I don't know. But with Danny, I know great bloke, and he's got a business now about him as well.
How is the game different nowadays compared to where you play? We kind of
Touched on that already, yeah.
you kind of touched on that already. Sorry, Joey Lulash with that one. Jay Danger Ross. Who was the biggest pest of a teammate?
Terry Hill.
Really?
I was waiting for that.
But a pest.
He ended up moving up the Central Coast, I think.
Yeah, he's up on the coast.
Tiger 24/7. What was the worst or the toughest ground to play at?
Belmore was pretty tough to play at. When the dogs are on fire, it's pretty hostile, and I never had much. I can't recall even winning a game up against the Broncos. But Belmore was back in the day when that was being in the 90s. That was a hard place to play at.
That's it for the Patreon questions, Rob. And as any questions before we let Shane, because obviously he's got to get up early for work. Anything else before we head off?
Yeah, two quick ones. I know Shane's favourite player is Arthur Beetson, but who was your favourite Balmain Tiger?
Wayne Pearce.
Wayne Pearce. Okay, and just finally, who do you think will win the comp this year?
Oh, if Broncos can keep Reynolds on the field, they're going to be a big shot, depending on obviously how they go through the origin period. Panthers obviously going to beat again. But yeah, I think maybe the Broncos are going to be tough to beat if they can keep Reynolds injury free.
Okay, nice. All right.
Anything for Shane?
Yeah, I've got one. So in the lead up to the merger, I'm wondering what the like the energy and the vibe was around the club, because obviously I assume you players would have known something about what was going on. You might have known that you were going to be, I guess, joining forces with the Magpies. What was that whole experience like back in the playing days?
Originally, we got word it was Parent, and they were throwing teams around. Wayne wasn't going to be coach, Brian Smith coach, and they had the colours. They were going to come the Tigers or something like that. And then within a week, that was gone, and we were merging with Wests, and everyone was unsure of their position, players, staff, and all that. And once the new board made a decision on who was coaching, and they made their decisions pretty quick as to what players they wanted and what players were going to be let go, which was tough because some of them were our good mates.
Mm. Yeah, it would have been tough on both sides, yeah, because literally would have been pretty much cut in half. Yeah, I think even less because there was new guys coming in too.
Yeah, we maybe had eight each or something. It was close to that. 8 numbers of 8 from Balmain, 8 from Wests, and then the new guys coming in. So yeah, it was tough, but I think a few of the boys actually just stayed on. The boys that weren't required in the top grade, and they played reserve grade that year. But yeah, it was a lot of uncertainty for a little period there. Well,
Shane, thanks heaps for coming on tonight. We'll let you head off, and really appreciate you spending the time with us, and hopefully not your last time as well. Hopefully we can have you back on.
Thanks
once again for a third time.
Good. Hope it was all good and you enjoyed what I had to say, and thanks again.
Certainly do, Shane, buddy.
Give your company a plug as well. What was your company called again?
Hey Building.
Do you guys have a website or anything?
Yep, just hbkbuilding.com.au.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Righto, righto, Shane. We'll let you head off, and we'll continue the rest of the episode, or finish off the episode. But
cheers, boy.
Have a good day at work tomorrow, and go the Tigers.
Catch you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
See you, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Righto. So our next episode, obviously, will be the preview for our game against Manly. We're going to record this beforehand. Yeah, so this won't be a live show. We'll be back. Our next live show will be Monday night following the game on Sunday. So this one is for Patreon members only. So our Patreon guys can sit on this one as we preview. We've got a Manly fan lined up, and this will be on the Patreon tomorrow, and then I'll release the audio of it on Thursday. So preview episode coming out on Thursday. So boys, look forward to that. There's a few team list. I obviously made this graphic with Sean Bloor before the team list came out. He's obviously outside the team list. So hear me get really angry at Tim Machines for dropping my guy on Thursday morning. Right, boys, as always, thanks everyone for joining us live tonight, and go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. Please follow us at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and facebook.com/WestsLife Pod. You can also support and take part in the show at patreon.com/WestsLife, and give us a subscribe on YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll see you again next time on another episode of the WestsLife Podcast.